Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Mic's on. Let's get things started. Call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Ron.
Second.
Thank you, Arvid. We have a motion by Ron, second by Arvid to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Carries. Item 3, approval of the consent agenda, including 2 meetings, 1 regular, 1 special, licenses and permits, and then the board, committee, commission, and agency reports, as well as approval of vouchers payable and a budget summary. Anybody have any questions on anything on the consent agenda? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Arvid.
I'll second.
Thank you, Neil. We have a motion by Arvid, second by Neil to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Carries. Item 4, public input and ideas, limit 5 minutes per speaker.
Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, hi. I'm a little nervous, so here we go. Hi.
State your name and your address and
Yep.
you get 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm Roxy Patterson. We own the St. Croix Valley Inn on 305 River Street. We're right next to the old hospital. In 1908, the inn was built, and then it was converted to a hotel in 1980. Then it was converted into a bed and breakfast around 2003. It's been lodging guests pretty much solidly since 1980 with a few gaps. We purchased the inn 4 years ago. It was in disrepair when we purchased it. And then we've put a lot of time, money, effort to restore it, to be able to host guests and kind of bring it back to what maybe was 20 years ago. Like most small business owners, you do put your life and your sweat into these businesses. We are open year round. And this last year, from January till now, we hosted 1,550 guests. These guests come into town, they shop, they eat, they walk into town, they go to local activities, they canoe, they kayak down the river. And it brings in a lot of people from the Twin Cities, outer Wisconsin, other countries even. So lodging is a very important economic engine of the community. It brings in visitor dollars. So now when we bought the inn, the hospital at that time was abandoned, but it did seem secure. There were windows, there were doors intact, there was no graffiti. It more was a, what is that building when the guests came? Why, what is that next door? Now it's threatening, it feels dangerous. Guests fear for their safety and the safety of their vehicles. We're losing sales. We're down about 7% this year. I recently had a Google review, and if you know anything about the hospitality business, it's all about reviews and stars. I had a recent review that said, oh, the inn was great, the river views are great, everything was great, but next door is an atrocity. I then had somebody just recently, like last week, email me and say, are we safe to come? We saw on a Google map the building next door. Are our cars safe? So I had to reassure them, we really haven't had any problems, but I can't guarantee anything. So we are a member of the room tax. I am a member of the room tax committee, and we are significant contributors to that fund. I'm just looking for action to be taken. And this is my husband, Tim.
Hello, I'm Tim Patterson. As Roxy mentioned, we own the property at 305 River Street. I'm going to add a couple comments. In addition to Roxy's notes, we have repeatedly called the police to report vandalism, trespassing, and other criminal behavior. Originally not too much, but considerably more in the past year. As I look at this activity, we have reviewed the Village Code, Part 2, General Legislation, Section 160.5. Public nuisances specific to dilapidated buildings, Section 8. I'm going to read it quickly. All buildings or structures so old, dilapidated, or out of repair as to be dangerous, unsafe, unsanitary, or otherwise unfit for human use. My opinion is that this property does meet the requirements of this statute and should be taken action upon. We do request the village, the trustees here to consider taking further action to enforce this regulation as part of our code. This is, in our opinion, a blighted property and should be treated as such. Furthermore, I have emailed the trustees and administrators this morning a couple of pictures. One being the Google's map view that our customers are looking at as they come and look at this property and look for directions. It's facing down 305, so you or 303rd Street, I'm sorry, towards River. I would also ask and invite anybody on the board to, if they'd like to come on our property and take a look at that, please let us know. We'll be happy to have you come in and walk you around and show you what our guests are seeing, what they're experiencing. Unfortunately, we can't redo the broken glass and other activities that were happening one time when we were out on the patio. But I think you'll get a sense for the state of disrepair and the concern that we are starting to see here. With that, we'd like to thank you for your time and do again ask for your consideration to take action in this activity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the floor is open if anybody else has public comment. Seeing nobody else, we'll move on to item 5, reports. So staff reports. First up is Public Works.
Evening, everybody.
Doug.
There's some vacations in November. Despite that, we pretty much secured all of our sand for November. In November, for the rest of the season and even leading into 2025. Things will start to freeze up. It'll be unobtainable to get. So we're happy that it's all secured, and we'll look forward to mixing it throughout the winter with salt as we procure that from the county. As I mentioned, all trucks have been thoroughly inspected and tested for snow removal operations. We utilized it twice in the month of November and for slippery roads, and everything's working very well. At this time, 43 lighted holiday decorations were hung. Summer banners have been converted to winter. Flags are stowed, and yesterday I removed the overhead banner, and we got the large 5 snowflakes across the street. We also did a final cleaning and sweeping of downtown sidewalks, parking lots, and bump outs. Kind of a unique year when we had these 2 machines. We really took advantage of having both machines at the same time. We were able to really dig in. I think as you look around even now, how clean our gutters and curb lines and things like that are. We removed a considerable amount of debris during the end of the season. Also, all markers and thin ice signs, all of our have been installed on our roads and our plow roads. Leaf cleanups and parks have been completed, and winterization of our seasonal spaces are all secured, finalized. We continue to check them either daily or sort of 3 times a week. We had to remove an emergency beaver dam in Schubert Park to raise the level close to 3 feet, flooded out the trail. Some of the concerns obviously is that major snowmobile path that cuts right through there that leads to the school district and stuff like that. So yeah, we reacted by renting an excavator, and as I mentioned, we took out 3 dump truck loads of debris and cleared that dam, lowered the level within hours actually. So little to no damage, thankfully. So we're not going to have to reconstruct any trails or old temporary roads or maintenance roads. All buildings, heatings are functioning appropriately. Many of the heat schedules have been updated. They're working appropriately. Buildings running well, rooftop units running well, so that's good. Internally, we removed all the plumbing on top of the building and stuff like that, so everything's secured. Public Works fully transitioned our working spaces to winter operations, so the building's full, and we're ready to go for whatever that brings. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Todd. Okay, next up, utilities.
It's kind of a long trip from the back. Hey, everyone.
All right.
Yeah, So we had the opportunity, we cleared some gate valves from sand and debris. As we're doing our mapping project, we take the opportunity because we're standing on everything. We don't put it in the map unless we can see it. To open up some of those valves, we had identified them as needing to be cleaned earlier in the year, so we were able to take care of that before the freezing weather. It's nothing like shutting down a lane of traffic on Highway 35. It's always interesting. Well, that T-Mobile antenna upgrade is complete, but I heard today that they're going to do the final inspection on Monday. So we're waiting on a punch list. There's always a punch list when we inspect. We're involved in that inspection too. Sometimes we inspect alongside KLM, our tower engineers, to ensure that all the clamps, there's no, are in place. The coatings didn't get scratched. Everything is the way they said it was going to be and the way we approved it. So that'll be Monday. Today, we actually hosted a tour from members from Evoqua. And Evoqua was the original manufacturer of the equipment for the wastewater treatment plant back in 2005. So they sent some people out to give them a tour to kind of assess the condition and what the future of the plant holds while we're completing the facility plan that I've talked so much about. We're happy to hear that, Evoqua has some retrofit options, but they're manufacturing the same plant that they manufactured for us in 2005. And I was told that we were the fourth Evoqua plant within the world when we were built. So we were like state of the art back in 2005 when we came online. So the process itself is essentially the same that they're using today. So I was really happy to hear that we have additional capacity within our plant from the original build, and they're still using the same technology. This is just really great news going forward as we do the facility plan for what the next 20 years is going to bring as far as treatment options going forward. So on top of that, not included in the report, we tackled that water and sewer budget. Thanks to Tanya on that one. That was quite an undertaking with all our new account codes and everything. So I appreciate everybody that was involved in that. Any other questions?
Where are we at capacity with the plant right now?
Don't quote me on this one, but about halfway.
About half?
About half, and we're running about half through it. I think average we're designed for 606,000 gallons a day. We're putting on average about 270,000 gallons a
And I
day.
think the original design was to support a town growing to about a size of 5 to 6,000.
5 to 6,000 by 2025. So we're not there. The other side of that is we have some additional capacity going forward, so we're not, running up against that extra limit. We talked today about there's two different. So there's hydraulic loading or hydraulic capacity, so your gallons going through your plant, and there's also loading capacities where you have your chemicals or your biochemical oxygen demand, everything that you're trying to treat for, and can you keep up with that loading because you have not only domestic waste, but we have the village dresser we take in, and then the industries that we take into that can contribute higher strength wastes to the wastewater plant. So,
Okay, it's good. It's a common question we get, so it's just nice to know what the generally accepted baseline is right now.
my general answer to that is about half. We're about half. Because hydraulics are a little bit easier to understand, gallons in, gallons out kind of thing. So.
Yeah.
And what's the lifespan of that? It was built in 2005.
Lifespan's 20 years, generally on equipment. So we're right up against that. Not saying that your concrete and everything is just going to go away in 20 years and be in a state of disrepair or anything, but we should be planning for the next 20 years of the plant. So that's with this facility plan, we'll be able to kind of identify where we should be, where we are, how we need to get there, and what the DNR is going to come down on us for as far as limits, what we see out there for treatment that we're going to have to install. So right now we're sitting pretty okay. We're pretty okay. I'm happy about it. It's good.
My toilet works, so I think it's great.
Yep, that's right. Any other questions? Thank you all.
Thank you, Rick. Okay, next up, library.
There's no fancy graphs.
There are.
Good evening. So November has been a month of year-end preparations. So this is when libraries let our library system know what can be purged from our system's databases, withdrawn items, long-term missing items, and patrons that have been inactive for 3 years or more. My time was also spent looking at end-of-year financials and how to best spend our funds for the remainder of the year, as well as fine-tuning our 2025 budget. In November, we circulated 3,910 items, had 111 public computer uses, and 1,314 ebook checkouts, and we had 16 new patrons. In November, we added 212 new items to our shelves, and Michelle Jacobs, our youth services person, and I worked together on picking titles for 100 classic picture books and 100 classic chapter books to draw special attention to books that are timeless and will hopefully be read by many generations to come. This is to add to we have 100 books for adults to read and 100 movies to watch. And so we just wanted to add something in the children's area for the kids. And often patrons need to request these items from outside of our library. So it is important that we have copies of these books on our shelves. Our regular programs that we hosted in November included Storytime, Lego Club, the WMPL book discussion, and Lunch with the Librarian. I transitioned from book bike visits at the beginning of November to car visits at the end of the month to both Millside and Evergreen Apartments. And I want to thank AJ for letting us store the book bike down in the police garage again this winter. So that's awesome. In November, the Osceola School District provided art for a gallery wall with watercolors from 4th, 5th, and 7th graders. Cora Pero, our library's current circulation manager, will be leaving us at the end of December. She's been a great asset to our library, first beginning her time with us as a library page while she was in high school, moving up as a library assistant, and finally finishing her time with us as circulation manager. She will be missed, and her institutional knowledge will be difficult to replace. We have Storytime, Lunch with the Librarian, the book discussion, Lego Club as upcoming events, and we will be closed the 24th and 25th and 31st of December and January 1st for the holidays. So anyone have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks very much, Ann. Okay, moving along, fire.
Hi, everybody. It was a busy month. We had 14 runs total, 12 in the village of Osceola, 2 in the town of Farmington. Run breakdown was 1 motor vehicle accident, 7 medical lift assists, and 6 alarms. The training for November was review of extrication and our EVOC course, took our EVOC driving course. Upcoming training is, which we did outstanding training for the firemen that happened to miss meetings and got them caught up, in a review of our SOGs. Also, we're going to be taking our boat out on the river now that the ice is froze over, so we can start learning ice rescues with it. So kind of important to get that going. I'm just waiting for the ice to set just a little bit more down there. And then we're working with MSA in the village to reapply for AFG grant. So that's it, I guess. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, thanks.
Well, thanks, Paul. Okay, police. EJ?
All right. Well, in November, we generated 307 calls for service and compiled 55 incident and traffic crash reports. We made 2 arrests and 1 emergency detention. Osceola PD officers initiated 53 traffic stops and issued 32 municipal citations. Things of note for November, we held a room clearing training, or hosted a room clearing training at the Osceola Police Department. One of our part-timers recently graduated as an instructor through a company and wanted to share that information with us. So we did a classroom setting, and one of our local business owners was good enough to let us utilize one of the properties that they're managing as a site for our simunition training, where we get to break out almost like the paintball type training stuff that we have. And we had several officers from different municipalities, including Amory, Frederick, also Centuria, and St. Croix Falls, attend our training with us. We're still looking for 2 officers. Our efforts continue, and we're looking into creating a new officer in training job title, where we would hire someone who has not yet graduated from the police academy and then look to sponsor that person, go through it, hopefully graduate and then train them when they graduate. We would be reimbursed the cost for the academy as well as lodging and transportation. But we've had several applicants that look pretty good on paper but did not graduate, and kind of the lack of applicants that we're getting just due to the job market and law enforcement right now, it's kind of making us look at this direction. So otherwise, we were able to positively identify a suspect vehicle in a hit and run using our flock network. So without that, without the Falcon cameras, the license plate reader cameras that we have on the outside of the village, we would not have been able to positively identify that vehicle, and that case pretty much be unsolved at this point. So
That's fantastic.
just a little success story there. Otherwise, we are going to be doing our Stuff the Squad event this Saturday. So if you haven't noticed, we have a big box outside the police department. So if anyone has any non-perishable items that they want to donate to the open cupboard, we look forward to accepting those. And then Saturday from 10 to noon, we'll be hosting the actual event where we'll have our officers outside in our parking lot with all the squads, and we'll be there to accept the donations as well. So otherwise, Coffee with the Cop is still in full swing, and we will be hosting a session on December 20th from 8:30 to 10 o'clock this month. So any questions for me?
So we reworked the kind of the structure of the ad to get a certain type of officer. Are we not seeing any of those applicants?
I think it's just the general labor pool right now. You know, there's just I know Minnesota is about 1,000 officers short right now, and it's just trying to get people interested in the law enforcement profession for the most part.
Sure.
We're getting we're getting some good-looking applicants, but you know, when we dig into the background process with them, you know, we just got to make sure that they're going to be a right fit for Osceola PD, and you know, we can still be picky because you know, being a small town, it's important that we have officers that reflect those values. So.
Sure.
And we have more interviews coming up later this month too.
Yep. Anything else? Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, AJ.
It's a really light building report. I will have kind of a forecast of the last few years and this past year next month for you once we have all the permits in for 2024. But not much to speak of in this last month. Moving into admin, much longer here. We're all familiar now that the appeal for the court was filed last week. Our paperwork is due on the 19th, and that's the only timeline I have so far for the appeal process. And I don't have any further information regarding that this time. All I do know is until it's seen through, the restraining order does stay in effect for the developer on that site. So they cannot do any demo beneath grade at this time still. Taxes go out on Friday, so your tax statement will be in the mail next week. So staff is getting ready and our computers updated to handle that in the next few weeks as people start paying their taxes. I finished the Vibrant Spaces grant this week with help from Drew of MSA. So thank you, Drew, for your help on that one. Horse Foundation is looking at possibly donating potentially more to our project for the Cascade Falls staircase. Tomorrow, staff, we're looking over the procurement policy to shore up some of the issues that we've been facing or perceived to be facing. Last week at the Planning Commission, they had a really good discussion on future ordinance changes that we'd like to see. Some of it would be secondary use structures, such as a detached garage or mother-in-law suite, possibly changing that up to a larger square footage. Right now, the minimum is only 400 square feet, and we'd be looking at 900 to 1,000 square feet as potential. I'm going to flesh that out more as I talk to more communities, eventually talking to our community too, to see what our community needs are for that ordinance. And with that discussion too, they would like me to investigate further the possibility of making smaller lot sizes up, potential minimum up to 70 feet instead of 90, which it currently is. So those are some areas that we as a village can try to help the housing shortage by making units more affordable in the community. Verizon leases, we're working at 2 of them right now. One's in legal review. That's for the main tower out there on M. And then we're looking for a second tower in the main area, which would be on the baseball field here in the light tower. That would give them much more comprehensive coverage for the area. And if they're able to put them on a pole over there by the baseball field, other services would be able to use that pole too, which would create a much better network for all the cellular coverages here in town. Annexation update today for the Pinnacle development. Brent Merlin called me today and said that they are working on the application for annexation for that housing development south of town.
So they did purchase the land?
They were in the process of doing that right now. They just need to figure out if they're going to do the whole section or just the development section as they go. So
So
that's
just as clarification, are they purchasing and then annexing, or are they annexing and then purchasing?
purchasing then annexing. Historic Preservation Committee had a good discussion on a mural ordinance for the downtown area that we'll be working on. That would strictly be for the historic preservation district, not for the whole community.
Right.
So that's one other area that we're working on to help with the ordinance. And other than that, that is it for my admin report. So, any other questions?
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, so we will move to 5B, Chamber of Commerce, Main Street.
Good evening, everybody.
Wyatt?
First, we'd like to thank Public Works for all their hard work downtown and keeping it clean and putting up the decorations, so thank you for that. November 22nd and 23rd saw Dough on the Go, which really I don't get to take credit for it. It's all of our business owners that work together to put this event together. It's been going for over 15 years strong. We won an award at 22. We had 25 different shops and businesses participate on the shop side, and we increased the eats this year up to 12 restaurants. So that was exciting to see. We also had the PTA held their event at the elementary school. The United Methodist Church had a bake sale on Saturday. The Valley Christian School had a sale out of Cedar Bend. So it's really become a community event. And it was fun to hear different feedback from just people coming to town and shopping. But one of the business owners downtown said they had their best day of sales since they've opened. So it was a great event. We've had a lot of wonderful impact. We're also just pushing. It's Shop Small season. I know you all know that, but we're getting out there and reminding people, other than shopping, there's other ways you can support local businesses. Share on social media, leave a positive review, and it's not just shops. There's the grocery store, there are mechanics, there are other services that are local that are small business owners as well. So we're encouraging all different kinds. And then lastly, on page 38 of your handout, there's a copy of an ad. Our Business Improvement District is working on improving marketing for the community as a whole. So this year, we worked with the St. Paul Pioneer Press. They do a special shop small section in the Thanksgiving paper. Distribution for that paper was to 100,000 homes in eastern Minnesota and the Twin Cities area, and then 10,000 homes in western Wisconsin. So they paid for this ad that encouraged people to shop small and come visit downtown Osceola. We hope to do more marketing going forward. There's two reasons for that. One, a healthy and vibrant downtown is a healthy and vibrant community, but also it helps us to gear up for the bridge that is coming in a couple years. So the more marketing that we can do now that creates the sense of Osceola as a destination, regardless of when the bridge is closed or not, people will still want to come and visit. So we will be doing more marketing as things go forward. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Wyatt. Okay, that takes care of item 5 on our agenda for reports. We'll move to item 6, other business. Discussion and possible action regarding 6A, request for service, engineering services. So it looks like we have 4 different companies that we'll be hearing from.
Yeah, tonight you'll be hearing from 4 different companies that I reached out to that we've done business with, and I felt would do more than an excellent job to continue on with engineering services for our streets and future projects for parks. This is not including the water and sewer. Rick already uses his own engineering firm for that. So with that, I asked the engineering firms to kind of bring up forward a 10-minute presentation of kind of explaining themselves and who they are and some of the background, some of the credentials. So they're in order that they'll present in. So Stantec will be up first.
Good evening. I am Angela Popenhagen with Stantec. I have been your village engineer for 18 years. Actually, January 15th will be 18 years. I also work with other villages and townships in the area, as well as WisDOT, and I am the team lead for all of Wisconsin municipalities. So I also do employees in western Wisconsin, but Madison, Milwaukee, and Sturgeon Bay. With me is Cody Gartman.
Hi, I'm Cody Gartman. I've been in the civil engineering industry for about 5 years. I've been practicing in Wisconsin and Minnesota, primarily doing a lot of municipal engineering, and excited to have the opportunity to be here today.
So I just wanted to kind of run through background. We've had, as I said, a long history in Osceola. I've been here 18 years. Pretty much a lot of projects around town, whether it's site plan reviews, Fifth Street reconstruction, which we've got, in a lot of these we've gotten grants for along the way, but Fifth Avenue reconstruction had over $13,000 in grants. We've done Oak Ridge Drive, Robert Carroll Llewellyn, that reconstruction, the Osceola Medical Center, when that came in, we did $2.5 million of utility extensions, the construction of 65th, the construction of 63rd. We've done Scylla outfall, Gerald Street outfall, safe routes to school from County Road M to basically Education Drive to the schools. That was $250,000 of safe routes to school grants. Willow Lane Road, Ladd Park, we did the park development. That was, we had a DNR stewardship grant for that, $83,000. We've set up, just your ongoing pavement markings, street maintenance, those kind of projects we were always part of. We also had, of course, Fourth and Kent right here, and that had $8,300 of grants. We've done a few mill pond dredging projects. So let's see, Gerald, Margaret, and Madison, that had grant money. We had the Cascade Boardwalks, and that was $45,000 of grant money. We've done the public parking at Valley Spirits, that parking lot. We've been part of utility projects, in the industrial park, Force Main, the fire station. So you kind of look around and we've touched a lot of different projects. Just finished Simmon Drive, and that had $296,000 of grant money. And we're also waiting on another grant, the ARIP, the Agricultural Road Improvement Grant, that was submitted on behalf of doing 68th Avenue, 267th, and 63rd, small piece. So that's a $2.9 million project that they would do 90% funding for. So, but along with the projects we did do, we've also have a bunch of projects, on the shelf as far as Third and River. We already have kind of the layout for it. We had $400,000 of grant money. We've looked at reconstructing Summit. We've looked at extension of Prospect to Third Avenue. We've been around and really looked at cul-de-sac at the end of Zindas. So long story short, I feel like I've touched a lot of projects, have a long history here. We've really been a consistency here. I've been through 4 administrators and 4 public works director people. So long story short, we've been here during all of different changes along the way and have continued to work here. So, and then projects such as 4th Street demolition, the 405 4th demolition, jumping in on those kind of projects to quickly get it done, to make sure that was moved forward so you could get the skate park in. That was kind of a last minute thing, and we made sure that we got that done, and we're nimble enough to be able to get those kind of projects moving forward for you. So, but now through, you know, as I can get up in years, this is a good time. I mean, good time to transition to other staff. I know you're looking at costs, and so want to make sure that also it's a good opportunity for the next generation. So that someday, if I do decide to retire, you have a transition. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Cody to kind of tell you some more of his background.
Yeah, so with the 5 years, I've done a lot of street reconstructions, a lot of utility work with sanitary, whether that's doing assessments, I&I analysis, doing water main replacements, stormwater. That's kind of my specialty is looking at flooding areas of flooding and how do we improve that and reduce flooding. I've been involved with parks. I've done helped with funding, CDBG, safe drinking water, clean water, all those types of grants. So I'm able to bring those skill sets to the village, while also being able to bring the resources of Stantec that has surveyors, wastewater treatment facility experts, all these various different types of specialists who would be able at your disposal to help aid in any of the situations or problems the village might have in the future. So I'll give it back to you.
Yep. So just as we move into the future, I mean, we already have next year's street maintenance project ready to bid in January. We already have layouts for Third and River and know what utility and stormwater improvements are needed as part of those. We have intimate knowledge of the village ordinances, and especially as things continue, potentially at the hospital site, we've been able to work very closely with the attorneys on that to get them information and move, get them the information they need to put in their reports. And just in general, knowing site plans, knowing where the utilities are, knowing what the background is. Even on the hospital site, there's been other submittals prior. So, I mean, we've understand what kind of the issues were of these different sites. So just want to thank you for the opportunity. We hope we can continue on service and we'll continue to be a partner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cedar Corp is next.
Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here with Kevin Emmy, Principal Engineer with Cedar Corporation. I want to thank the council for providing us the opportunity to present before you tonight regarding our qualifications and proposal that's in your packet. I'm with Cedar Corp and I work out of our Menominee, Wisconsin office, and the entire team that we provided in our proposal would be serviced out of the Menominee office. I have 26 years experience with Cedar Corp, 40 years in the consulting engineering business. Our Menominee office in 2025 will be celebrating our 50-year anniversary of being in business and primarily the municipal engineering business. We're a multi-service firm. Again, I work out of our municipal engineering department, which also includes the private site and land development. Our experience with municipalities are that from time to time, there's a lot of other services that come into play that we can provide corporate-wide in from our Menominee office. Some of those other services that we've experienced that we've needed to provide our client include architectural service, economic development, environmental services, planning and grants, who we work very close with as part of the municipal team. structural engineering, transportation engineering, water resource engineering, and natural resources. It's all provided in-house. We pretty much have all the disciplines covered. The only services we don't provide that we sub-consult on is geotechnical engineering, soil boring, soil reports, and then our architectural group sub-consults with mechanical, electrical, plumbing on municipal buildings and so forth. So continuing through our proposal, you have each of our different disciplines that I just covered, gives you some more information regarding service overview and expertise of each one of those project teams. We also included a small sample list of 30 municipal clients with various projects that we've completed over the years. Right now, statewide, we have about 60 municipal clients that provide the same service you requested in your RFP. The other offices that we have in Wisconsin that serves the entire state, and also we do work in neighboring adjacent states, but we have an office in Green Bay, Cedarburg, and Madison. So we're up to about just a little under 100 employees. So we have a lot of depth and breadth of our staff to call to keep up on projects if we need to call on some of the other offices. All the other offices provide the same services as our Menominee office. Continuing on, we provided project pictures, project write-ups. Pictures always go a long ways, show what the projects look like when they're completed. So various street and utility projects, both rural and urban projects, trails, bridges, municipal wells, wastewater treatment facilities, lift stations, zoning ordinance updates, and so forth as part of our services. We have a section where we covered our planning and zoning service experience. As I mentioned, we work real close with our planning and zoning. What's not uncommon in some communities, depending all the years change, there might be more planning and zoning work that we're providing than actual village engineering services. So they go hand in hand. Some of the services our planning and zoning team provide are what we call on-call planning and code administrative services, ordinance and code updates, comprehensive plan updates. We're real busy right now with a lot of our municipalities updating their comprehensive plans that by state statute have to be updated every 10 years. Economic development in TIF districts. That's where we can help you. I know you got a number of TIF districts. We work with a lot of business development, helping you fill in your TIF districts with different businesses that provide the tax base for the TIF district. Park planning, funding strategies, grant writing, and grant administration. And I can't speak enough of the talent of our grant writing experienced team. That's probably one of the number one services we provide our municipalities. You have tight budgets and not a lot of tax base to go around, so we do everything on every project to research every available grant that might be out there. Some of the examples are the Department of Administration Community Development Block Grant. Village of Osceola as a community, you're not 51% or higher low to moderate income. But we have found in some similar communities as yourself, if we do a project area survey, a lot of times we can get an older area where there might be a lot of fixed income people, young families, apartments, senior housing, and so forth to survey out and become a community development grant opportunity project. Several Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation grants familiar with, and have successfully been able to fund community development investment grants, idle site grants, site assessment grants, and then the DOT programs that you probably have used in the past, the transportation, economic assistance grants with new businesses, Transportation Alternative Program, that's your trails, safe roads to school, sidewalks, trail programs, transportation planning grant. And the big one that we like the most is the local road improvement program grant. That's a state-funded grant program, 50 to 90%. Really easy to work with, doesn't have a lot of the other DOT federal requirements that take a lot of time and extra engineering and review costs. Wisconsin DOT Bridge Program, and then your DNR programs for water and wastewater systems, Clean Water Fund, Safe Drinking Water programs for water and wastewater, water resource grants, the Knowles Stewardship Grant. I think you're working with one of those right now for park improvements. DNR Stormwater, Brownfield, Rivers and Lakes, and then another big one for municipalities, street and utilities, the USDA Rural Development Grant Program. The firefighter grant, and then business incentives for economic development. We have experience working with new developers. We can help you look at your TIF district and look at the financial pro forma and help you out with incentives that you might be thinking about to pass on to a developer and how it cash flows and what makes sense in terms of what other communities are using for TIF incentives. And then we follow up with our project team. I'm listed as the village engineer. On the left, you have the municipal engineer, municipal team with the proposed assistant village engineer. And then again, we show some of the other disciplines that we use in our municipalities, Wisconsin DOT team, planning and grants team, environmental, the architectural team. And we have resumes of the key staff members, and then the 2024 schedule of hourly rates. We list our key staff members, but we have a rate schedule for all of our team members. The key people are listed. What we propose to do with regard to village board, plan commission, committee meetings, staff meetings, virtual meetings, and so forth. I do not bill any, there's no charge for my services as the village engineer. I had the village, we would only bill out for the village engineer at that hourly rate. So try to keep your costs down in terms of attending meetings, but still provide you a very good professional service that you'd be satisfied with. And with that, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions regarding Cedar Court, or very interested in becoming your village engineer, guarantee you'll be very satisfied with our services.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next is MSA.
Well, good evening, Village President, members of the board. My name is John Hertigan. I'm here representing, excuse me, MSA. Getting over a bit of a head cold, so sorry for the very white voice here. I'll try to make her through. I'm a team leader at MSA. I lead a team of municipal engineers, professional engineers, and engineering technicians that are focused on delivering projects for the city, and also specializing in offering our collective experience on problem solving and our abilities to service the village in any kind of engineering, any challenges that you guys encounter on a day-to-day basis. I was very fortunate in my early on in my career to be a forward-facing client liaison for a number of communities. My previous mentors had put me in a position that I was able to work directly with communities, attend council meetings, learn how to develop those relationships with staff and the board, as well as the community in general. I have a passion for working with small to mid-sized communities. That's what I've done for the past 20 years. I know the importance of developing those relationships, being present, attending your village board meetings, planning commission meetings, staff meetings, being able to develop those relationships both within the board as well as the community. Small cities or small communities they're special, and they require an engineer with the ability and the experience to work in those communities. I believe MSA is that firm that can provide those services. I have a couple gentlemen here with me today. We recognize Drew. He's worked on a handful of projects for the city. I'll give him just a quick moment to introduce himself.
Excuse me, good evening. Just a moment of your time. Some of you might know, my name is Drew Lind, and I'm a civil engineer. I'm licensed in Minnesota and Wisconsin. And my emphasis is environmental, so wastewater, drinking water, stormwater. I have a personal passion for roadway maintenance and GIS data sets. And the reason that I got into this career was to build relationships with communities that are really close to my heart. And one of my greatest feedbacks or pieces that I get out of my career is these relationships and just opportunity that I get to serve communities like Osceola. So, yeah, I'm out of the Rice Lake office, and my engineering focus is the Polk County region. So.
And we also have Chuck Schwartz. He leads our public works team. He has team leaders in 5 of MSA's offices, including my team. I'll give Chuck a minute or two to say hello.
Yes, again, thanks. We're really happy to be here. Again, I'm Chuck Schwartz, Public Works Operations Leader, responsible for public works folks in 5 different offices. And, I'm essentially his boss. And so what we like to do is, once or twice a year, check in with you folks at no charge to make sure we're doing, and if there needs to be minor course corrections, we would do that. And so that's some of the services I would be as, an additional resource for John and Drew, and as well as for this board. If something comes up, you need to talk to somebody, I'm certainly here to help.
So a little bit more about MSA. We are organized into 5 service lines: our mobility or transportation service line, water, buildings group, our land, and then public works, which is what Chuck had talked about and the team that I belong to. Public works makes up the majority, or is the largest service line that we have, both by projects and employees. This is a lot of what MSA does. We have dots all along the map in Polk County and western Wisconsin, as well as eastern Minnesota. I view myself as a facilitator, bringing the collective expertise of MSA, whether that's in our land service line, where we have our planning and zoning administration, or our GIS capabilities, bringing those services to the village. We also, our public works group has a dedicated funding team that we meet regularly to simply discuss the different projects that our clients have and what they're working on, what they need help funding. Again, collectively brainstorming as to how do we come up with a funding plan to be able to allow our clients and villages to execute their projects and make those come to fruition. We also can bring together our water resources team for stormwater management, stormwater design, potable water and wastewater services. We understand as public works engineers that we have the ability to bring those services to the community, and we're very excited to do that. MSA is a 100% employee-owned firm, which contributes to our culture. We are all in that culture together. We have a mentality of a leadership pipeline. We love the idea of being able to bring along our young professionals and put them in positions to build those relationships, build those long-term relationships that I was fortunate enough to do in my career. I'm excited to have this opportunity to work with Drew and support him as we work to deliver those projects for the village. Some of the projects that we're currently working on, the village has entrusted us with a pretty prominent park and some improvements to the Cascade Falls. I projects underway. We're excited to be participating in that. Your capital improvement plan, which you spent a lot of time in an extensive capital improvement plan that we're very proud of. We had our GIS, we managed your GIS system. Jeff Powell, our team leader, works with staff to not only implement that GIS program, but also track your assets and manage those assets. We helped out with your lead and copper line survey, again, through our GIS application, but also with our engineers supporting that. We worked on a comprehensive outdoor recreation plan that has been recently adopted by the council, as well as your comp plan. So we're very excited to continue to work on additional projects for the village. We mentioned working in Polk County. I have experience working with the city of St. Croix Falls up the road, as well as Dresser and Somerset, town of Somerset, Love Frederick, Deer Park. We provide these similar services to each and every one of these communities. I work very closely with the city of Newport, Minnesota, which is a community that has a lot of similarities to the village of Osceola. We're right on the river. We have those bedrock challenges that you guys face. We have a lot of stormwater outfalls going straight to the river that need that management. So again, we have the ability to and the experience to be able to bring those projects home. I guess I'll end with what sets MSA as apart is our ability to work with small communities. We know that it takes a special person, a special firm to be able to do that work. I love the fact that we can deliver a project and run into a resident in the gas station or in the grocery store when we're in town, when we're present, and get that positive feedback. That's what I'm passionate about. That's what we love, and we truly thank you for the opportunity to come in and present our firm. And thank you. Is there any other questions that I might be able to answer about the presentation or about our proposal? We're good. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
SEH is next.
Right. Good evening. I'm Eric Kingsguard, SEH. This is Sarah Arthun. We're presenting as I would be village engineer, and Sarah would be assistant, and we appreciate the opportunity to be here in front of you. Feel that these relationships are important, and being relationships, information about personality is important too. So we wanted to give some background on ourselves first. So I actually I graduated from Amory High School, went to Platteville for school. After graduating, spent 11 years just north of Madison in a similar role that I'm in SEH now of some private, some municipal work. After 9 years or 11 years there, my wife and I, as our parents age, when I get closer up home, she's from Menominee. I took a job with the DNR for 2 years out of Baldwin. After that, a friend of mine from Platteville that was leaving SEH said, hey, if you're ever looking to get back in consulting, I think SEH would be a good fit. Been there now for 9 years. About 25% of my work is on private development, doing site design, stormwater management, system of permitting, that kind of thing. And then the other 75% of my time is municipal engineering, working with communities, helping review developments, do street utility reconstruction projects, attending meetings. So similar communities, that Amory, Baldwin, Hudson, Hudson, this general area is generally where I work. When we moved back up, we moved to Amory. My brothers both actually work in Osceola. We come to Osceola quite a bit. So we're excited about the Cascade Falls project that's going on. We go down there 3-4 times a year. I am invested in this community and want it to succeed. and excited for the opportunity to be in front of you guys. So Sarah, introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Thune. Like Eric, I'm from the area. I grew up in Hudson and I still live there. I graduated Hudson High School in 2012. I went to NDSU for civil engineering with an emphasis in transportation. Graduated in 2016. I then went to work for a small local firm for 2 years before going to SEH in 2018, and I've been there since. My background is a little bit of private projects, but mostly municipal projects. Trails, parks, full road reconstructs, underground utilities, everything like that. I'll hand it back to Eric.
Something I found kind of interesting, I thought that the board might find it interesting too, is when we were putting together this proposal, one of our proposal writers asked me why I gravitated toward municipal engineering versus other civil disciplines. Lots of people have asked me, how did I end up in engineering? But never, how would you end up in municipal engineering? And I think that it is the relationships and the successes you can share, working with village staff, residents, contractors, being able to see a project. Not all are visible. Some are behind the scenes, but a lot of projects are visible. Parks and trails and street reconstruction projects, to see those start to finish and have it be a success. I think that brings a lot of pride and joy in seeing that happen. And I think that's how I ended up here, as a mainly municipal engineer. And I do think we can do a great job for you here in Osceola, being that we are local. I live on the west side of Amory, that's 20 miles away. If a virtual meeting doesn't work, come on over. Fully intend to attend village board meetings, plan commission meetings, committee meetings as needed, as requested. And this can be that presence for you. So didn't make it, but Sarah can ask the same question. So,
I did. My start in civil engineering was a little bit different. I started because a friend of mine wanted to take a drafting class in high school, and she didn't want to be the only girl. So I said I would take it with her. I loved it. She dropped the class, and I stuck with it. I took all the drafting classes that my high school offered at the time, then switched to the engineering classes, and I just gravitated towards civil from the very beginning. I liked it. I never realized the infrastructure that happens underground, water, storm sewer, sanitary, and never knew that was big, and how big it is and how much it can change things if one line goes down. It's a really big impact, and I just found that extremely fascinating. So that's how I got started. And then I've worked with many small clients before. I really like starting with a problem or even just a concept of, hey, we want a new intersection layout, and working with the city or the village and coming up with a plan that works best for you, and going back and forth with design, making sure that it's what you want, what you desire, and then seeing it through all the way through bidding and construction. I have a lot of experience on on-site inspection, and things come up in the field that you don't expect. There's a lot of changes that can happen, or things you don't realize that are a problem or a conflict. And so it's a good way to learn how to think on your feet and make decisions as you go. And I really enjoy that. I've also had the pleasure of having Eric as a mentor of mine the entire time I've been at SEH. We've worked on a lot of projects together. I've learned a lot from him, and I continue to learn from him. I think we work well together, and I think we would work well with you guys as well. So with that, I'll hand it back to Eric.
We did put in our proposal, and you can maybe scroll to it in your packet or bring it up Devin too, but there's a map in there that we provided that was like past experience and future opportunities or something to that effect. And did just want to highlight that SEH has been around actually in the community, working on projects with you guys for a lot of years.
Am I getting close? Yeah, right there.
So there's a long list. I won't go through all of them, but we're working on a couple right now with the utility department as well. We this building, we who designed this building. I actually did the site design on this project. So if you have complaints, explain it yourself, I guess. But we have done a lot of work here and familiar with the community, familiar how staff at the Lewiston Utility Administration work on the projects we're doing now. We would do it similar with other projects, of where Sarah would take the lead on a lot of design behind the scenes. I would be present at meetings and be on the QA, QC, and help drive the program as well. So yeah, there's a picture in here, and I didn't realize this, but the plans from the airport in 1948, which is pretty cool. So that was done by Bannister, who's a founding member of SCH. So that was kind of neat. And then there's a really tiny picture. Right shows Ralph. I don't know Ralph, but of that wastewater treatment plant too. So we're working on the facility plan. We've been involved with that plan for a lot of years too. And then the future opportunities that we need to go down the list. You guys know what you've got on the horizon, but I do a lot of development reviews. So I do a lot of development reviews for Town of Hudson, Town of Connecticut, Village of Baldwin. And I do the stormwater management plan reviews for City of Hudson, City of New Richmond. So I have a lot of background with village, city code, state code, and stuff for reviews as well. So that's it. We really do appreciate the opportunity to be standing here and have the potential to work with you guys in the future. I really do think that we can do a great job for you. And quite honestly, I'd love to do the work. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm getting cotton mouth here. Sorry about this. With that being said tonight, you guys can feel free to discuss. You can or you can't make a decision tonight. That's up to you. If you need more time, let us sit it in. We could either do in January to set up a special meeting to let that handle. If there's any questions that you want to mull over further, that's an opportunity too. Or if you have any questions for them as they're here tonight, that'd be a great time to ask. With that though, I'll leave it to you guys to how would you like to proceed? These 4 engineering firms were selected because they are one-stop shops, which I was looking for. I was looking for a place that can handle city code, grants, CIP, core plans, comp plans, everything. So we're not having piecemeal things as we go on.
Anybody have any thoughts?
Well, I had a question. I got a question for Stanek for Cody.
Yeah.
There was something in your information that I had a question on.
Sure.
Can you explain to me what channel hydraulics is?
It's open channel hydraulics, so like stream flow, rivers, pretty much mapping floodplains and floodways, pretty much being able to assess where erosion might occur in a stream. Where hydraulic jumps happen, where if you build a bridge over it, is that bridge going to cause that stream to go up in elevation or down? So it's kind of what I meant by channel hydraulics.
Okay.
He won't be able to help you with your John Deere.
I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you. What?
I said he won't be able to help you with your John Deere.
Well, that's all I wanted to know. If it was enclosed, if it was pressurized, or by the elements.
Yeah, I've worked extensively with all 4 of these engineering firms in the past year. Stantec has been the public current city engineer. Cedar Corp has been in the capacity of private development. We've dealt with him. We've dealt with Russ in the private development world, and we've seen his work through that aspect. MSA, we've done grants and comp plans and core plans with him. And then SEH, we are currently working on them with the Verizon leases. They're the ones helping us write them. They handle almost all of Rick's engineering requests for water and sewer too. So we're very familiar with all of these firms, and all 4 of them have you know, exceeded, you know, or meet expectations of what engineering services should be.
I want to make a few comments. I'm going to probably ramble a little bit. Having been on both the receiving and both sides of this conversation, I think there's a lot of value in the references that are listed. I like how some of them are very similar to our community. At the same point, some of the proposals in here that show great parallels, I could also argue they're probably too busy. Can they really provide the services we need? They also have the experience. I think there's some value in checking in on some of those and just get some feedback from some of our peers in the community, like us and other communities. I like the simplicity of Angela's proposals and the rates. I can also appreciate that if, as a growing community, there's some other services that we might need that the other people have proposed. I'm kind of curious, like, what do we need? Because I think there's a lot of services that we don't need that are on there. So what's the real value? We could look at some of the cheap rates and go, heck, we're going to save a lot of money because we're only going to need the $50 an hour employee. And then find out later we've only been billed the expensive employee. I've played that game myself. I don't know that we should make any kind of decision tonight. Heck, I'd be willing to wait a couple months and do some due diligence and get some more feedback and check in some references and stuff. I can't remember who it was. Maybe SEH had a couple of references.
Somerset was one.
Yeah, I also looked at some of the durations on like how long they've been a client of these communities. Some of them have been very short, some have been very long. But how do you gauge the length of somebody based on the service they've done? Maybe they've just been hanging out helping on minor things for a long time versus complexity over a short period. There's just too much here to make a quick decision. I like the fact that some people have showed up with people that are representatives that live nearby. I think there's some value in that. So anyway, some rambling thoughts, deep thoughts.
Yeah. I have kind of similar thoughts on that. That, you know, it's kind of nice having to work with all of them once in a while. And there are some power points and that some have, and yeah, maybe it's overkill in some spots on the others. You're right. Yeah, you almost hate to go with just picking out one, you know. But yeah, we maybe should take a little time and take a look at some more information, some more background. And
I think it'd be worthwhile thinking about what's going to be on our horizon as a need in the next couple of years, and then figure out where that fits and go poke a couple of people in other communities. Just get some feedback, maybe.
Devin, we're in contract now with Stantec, is that right?
It's not really a contract. We're basically just paying them as needed.
A la carte.
Month-to-month rent.
And is that relationship allowed to continue while we consider?
Oh, there's no reason it wouldn't be allowed. We're working, part of it too would be, even if we select a overall engineering firm, some of the projects that Stantec has started, we'd probably ask them to finish too, if we selected a different firm. As handing over sometimes projects in mid-design would be a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Because I don't know intentionally if you guys want to do a master service agreement or not, or if you just want to keep kind of the month-to-month that we've been going with an engineering firm and kind of select them as we go. I wanted you guys involved in this decision. I didn't want to make it my own decision, and that's why we're all here tonight to listen to the engineering firms that I thought would be a good fit for our community.
So when you sent out, I apologize if I'm being ignorant here, we didn't send out like an RFP for a year's worth of services or something?
No, it was a request for services.
Just an open solicitation.
And it was asking for the rates. And that's why you're seeing the rate schedule in front of you.
well, I tell you the truth, I hadn't even looked at the rates.
I did a little bit. It won't make heads or tails.
No, because there's something more we need to be looking at.
Yeah. Not to stir up hot, but this is another procurement policy.
discussion. No, services are not.
Well, I get
Services and
it, but if
equipment
you,
do not fit in that discussion.
I get it, but at some point you should have a logical process about how you go and procure things, not just willy-nilly call somebody up by the hour. I'd like to think that we had some sort of a policy or procedure for it, so. Or every project we go out for an RFP, and then why did we even solicit anything? Because it's gonna be a contract price per basis anyway. So,
While folks were presenting, I was screening through the materials to kind of write down hourly rates as I saw them and to try and get a sense. And I think some folks, you know, provided kind of a flat number and other people gave a lot of detail. So I feel like there is, I mean, if it's a contract for services, an hourly rate is generally the number that we're going to be looking at to compare prices. And so I think that that information is in here to be able to give us a good sense of where people fall on pricing. And yeah, numbers will fluctuate. In an ideal world, you'd run these proposals through the actual services we used last year and you'd spit out a number. But I think that knowing the hourly rate, which they do give us, all of them give an hourly rate and they specify who we would likely be working with the most. I think that with time, we can all look at that and digest what those numbers mean. So I would encourage folks to do that if we're not going to decide this tonight. The other thing I'll say is I think I'm glad that we have we have experience with all of these people. And I think that there are some, you know, we've worked a lot with MSA on projects in the village, and I know I've had some confidence shaken. I think that the fire department grant last month really gets stuck in my craw. The mistake that happened on that application. I know that mistakes happen. They're not unique to one organization, but I think we've had a lot of experiences with some of these folks, and I haven't invested the time to reflect on those experiences to be able to come to a decision tonight. But I think that if we can have time to mull this over and have time, I would really want to know what staff thinks, because you guys are the ones that work with them every day. And I think that as a representative of the board in these relationships, having a clear understanding of what staff has to say about these proposals would also be really important, and I would value that information. So I'm kind of following Mike along with ramblings, but those are my ramblings.
One more ramble. When you check the pricing, it wasn't all 2025, one was 2024.
I didn't jot that down.
So
I wrote the number that I saw.
we don't have the actual true
I
price.
think one was 20, I mean, one was 2025. If one was 2024, unless they're gonna give us a 20.
Well, okay.
But I hear your point. I don't
remember?
know.
I think to your question, Van, that one, if you're talking about the same organization that I was looking at, I think they have a fiscal year that runs June to June.
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah.
But as it's presented to us tonight, it's a little different. But yeah, we need more time.
If there's certain questions you want to ask, let me know. I can knock them on the next few weeks too and get this recommendation from staff and everything done by the January meeting.
I going back to one of the comments I said, I don't know if I've seen it on all of them, but I'd like to see some letters of recommendation from other people they think would be relevant. I saw at least 2. I don't know if everybody's done that. So instead of randomly calling up a village going, hey, who do I talk to? Can I get some feedback? Again, I appreciate what like Todd or, you know, whoever might comment internally. I'm more curious about like some of our peer communities.
It's almost better to call and ask though, because, and not just engineering firms, but anybody in general is going to put together a letter of reference, is going to contact someone that's going to give a good reference.
I get it.
This is call someone like Todd or someone else.
I don't know who to call at Somerset, and as a random person calling in, I'd like to know,
I
like,
can handle that.
okay, if you do it, whatever. It'd be neat to find some of the, what we consider, like I saw like Hudson involved. I saw some Somerset, some New Richmond, some St. Croix Falls. I can appreciate the Minnesota aspect. However, I've heard from you especially that, you know, Minnesota is definitely different than Wisconsin. It'd be neat.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we live here.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be nice to chat with those people too. So whether you do it or they recommend somebody, at least a process.
The one thing I will add is I agree with what everybody said so far as waiting, but I do see value in picking one primary firm. And the reason for that is it's just relationships, right? They're going to work harder for us. We're going to work closer with them. It's okay to go with another one if we need it for a specialty project. I'm sure they'd gladly take the job. But for me, it's about relationships as well. So at some point, I think we need to pick one primary and hopefully stick with them.
I will say, for instance, like last year when we were at Comp Plan, it wasn't an indictment on Angela why I didn't select Stevens or ask Stevens. I wanted an outside source outside of someone who's been in for 18 years to do the Comp Plan. So that's why like Stevens was not involved in that process because I wanted an outside view of it. So to your point, sometimes you do have to go outside that to find stuff.
Arvid, do you have anything to share?
I'm with everyone else that I think we need to digest this a little bit. And I heard Devin offer to prepare a summary for us, basically. And I think that would be extremely valuable. Let's let it ride.
Yep.
Is there a committee that would like to make a recommendation, or would you like to say this straight to the board next month?
I wouldn't have a problem with you bringing the information that's been discussed to the board next month. That seems like a more efficient route in my mind, but that's just me. I don't know if there are different opinions, then that's fine too.
I was holding off on sharing any of my own opinions because I wanted to see whether or not anybody else was interested in making a decision tonight. My mind's made up. So, but if there's not a majority of individuals here who feel like that, then we can wait a month and we can come up with an option for January. And if we're going to ask anyone to do any additional backgrounding on these firms and provide their opinions, it needs to be the person who's going to work with them day in and day out. So that's going to have to be something we'll have to task Devin with over the next month. And yeah, I mean, something, but just a brief preparatory statement that would be presented as a agenda item on next month's meeting to say, here's what I learned in my fact finding, reference checking for the firms. And here's what my recommendation would be based on what I've learned. And then we're going to take that into
I
consideration.
left my recommendation off it. I do have a recommendation currently. I left mine off it because I want you guys to reach your own decision with who you like tonight. I can formulate my opinion going on in a month and write all that up next month.
Okay.
I like the idea though of due diligence and maybe making a few phone calls just to verify. And maybe you've done that. Maybe you've talked to other people about certain things, but.
That'll make January's statement pretty easy for him to write then.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't feel a panic to decide tonight, and it seems like if we decided in January, that gives time for due diligence. I want to know a recommendation from staff about what they think about this too, and I think that would be ample time to pull that information together.
I think you picked 4 good ones. Yeah. So obviously that's something to be said for that, so.
Yeah, and just acknowledgement to the 4 firms for stepping out tonight. Appreciate you all coming in. You all have core competencies that run the gamut. You definitely have covered the entire spectrum of what you can do. So thank you. Doesn't sound like we're going to have any specific board action on this item tonight. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next item. That would be 6B Cascade Fall Stairs update.
Yes, so we had our first committee meeting last month about Cascade Stairs. We gave Drew some design directions of how we'd like to see it. The first one was to eliminate that overlook and make the Gristmill Park a little more grand, more of an entrance, a trailhead type spot for the trail. In the January meeting, I believe Drew will have a almost completed design. Drew, is that correct?
I'll be looking for board approval on it.
And then January, at the end of January, early February, we'd be looking at having an open house to get some public input for potential colors and other opportunities that are not the core design, but features that they might like or they don't like. So we're getting some public input for the stair project too. And then with that, we'd be looking at going for bid sometime in March, I believe is what we agreed upon.
That's what our contract says.
Yep.
It's tentative on our timeline.
So we made good progress. We got a good input, and I want to thank people who showed up for that meeting and give some good feedback. Arvid, anything you want to add to that?
I thought it was a real good discussion.
Where are we at in terms of the additional funding to cover the grant?
We're working, like I said, I did that, Vibrant Grant, the Vibrant Spaces Grant. I reached out to, the Horse Foundation for possible more grant dollars for that. We have the 15,000 unused from last year, and we'll have another 15,000 from them this year going forward. So there's 30 right there also, and potentially more if they give us on top of that. Beyond that, we could still use funding from TID 3 and TID 4 for it. And we do a borrow and take that back as we look for more revenue sources. Well, we do that too if we have to pay the bills. There's a chance that some of it might be put off to 26, so there'll still be ample time for that. But we do have ability to maybe fill the gaps with some other revenues while we're still looking for opportunities for people to possibly donate or organizations to donate or find grants available for this project.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but does everybody here at the table have the same sort of expectation that I do, that if we can find the money to fully utilize the grant we've been awarded, we should?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just don't want to leave anything on the table if there's an opportunity for us to grab some dollars and use them. So,
Yeah, but the public, once we have a date set and the design finalized, we'll get a meeting together. It'll be the open house style again, and we'd just be looking for public input, like what type of furniture, whether it be chairs, water fountain, picnic tables, bike racks, what type of information do you want to see here? What colors do you want the aluminum staircase to be? Because all that stuff is not decided, is not going to be decided at that point.
was there any discussion at all about funneling some funding or looking for alternative adjacent funding to go to the Heritage Committee? Because I think at some point we're going to be looking at potential signage, wayfinding, information.
There's signage within the budget that Drew put forth. There's signage money in that. So if the Heritage Foundation has or committee has stuff they want, let us know, because there is money for signage in there in the project already.
I think it would be useful to make sure that the Heritage Committee is given every opportunity to provide whatever feedback that they wish as they continue to develop their group and provide input. I think that was the entire intention of that, was to make sure that when we do large projects like this, that as Osceola has an opportunity to put itself out there in the community, this is where they can really do some of the legwork and provide some perspective on the design process.
And why it was part of this meeting too, and why it's looking forward to talking to the downtown area to figure out their needs to make this a programmable space for everyone to use.
I think what they meet in January, right? They have another scheduled meeting in January, the Heritage Committee.
I think so.
Yeah. Is it going to be before or after our village board meeting? I don't recall. Or is it maybe the same night, January 10th?
Or 10th would be.
7.
Thank you. The 7th would not be our meeting.
Yeah, just don't forget about them. That's the reason we created them.
That was,
so they
that
can
was brought
contribute.
up, so thank you for that reminder.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions, concerns, issues? Want to talk about this? No? All right, looking forward to seeing some hard and fast numbers and designs. So looks like you'll be designing some stairways over Christmas dinner, huh?
I think it's resting right now.
Okay, we'll move on then. 6C, Bluff Tower Water Main Soil Contamination.
Yeah, this one's all Rick.
It's not as.
Look at him light up. He's excited to talk about this.
It's not as bad as.
Nothing like some soil contamination from an underground storage tank.
Scandal.
I looked at it and I'm like, I probably should have worded that differently. Oh, it's scope of work amendment. That'll work. No, when we're doing the engineering design for the Bluff Tower water main, as you guys are aware, it runs through the south end of the BP parking lot through an easement, partially our land. And when that was submitted as designed to DNR, because you do have to submit these things to the DNR for approval, they came back at us with comments saying, hey, there's a closed underground storage tank leak site essentially. And part of the conditions of that leak site and when they closed it is that if you need to, or if you disturb that soil, then you need to test that soil and see if there's any contamination left. And if there is, then you need to remediate and, haul to a disposal site and bring in clean backfill, et cetera. This is a requirement for the project. They will not, obviously approve it without a soil management plan. We had two options that we had worked through. One of them is perform the soil management plan or the soil testing up front, and the second was to perform it while the contractor was on site. The disadvantages to doing it when the contractor is on site is that you had to leave the hole open. So you had to open up that entire section of water main, and then down to 8 or 10 feet, and then grab the samples. Then take the dirt, store it somewhere because you don't know if it's contaminated at that point, and then wait for the samples to come back. Decide what to do at that point. All while when you go to bid this project, you would have to have that all as an alternate. Either way, we figured that we were performing the same amount of work, albeit we would grab some soil samples up front and then have a more accurate bid. And so that's what we brought forward tonight. This has been through Water and Sewer Committee and approved for consideration by the full board. My recommendation would be to do the soil testing and the required soil management plan and approve the scope of work.
It's an amendment to the scope of work, right?
It is an amendment to the scope of work. So we have an existing one. That's kind of why we're bringing it forward. So amending the existing contract.
Anybody have any questions? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to approve the amended scope of work.
I would make that motion.
Thank you, Mike.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Van. We have a motion by Mike and a second by Van to approve the proposed amendment to the scope of work. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Rick. Okay, moving on. We have a fee schedule to adopt. So 6D, Resolution 24-18 to adopt the 2025 schedule of fees. It's been a long time coming.
Yep. So last year we finally adopted a fee schedule. Carrie's hard work last year changed every ordinance in the book to say C fee schedule. This is a far more effective way to change our fees as we deem they need to be changed instead of changing ordinances. This year there has been a few changes. As you can see, this municipal boardroom we're looking at, there would be a deposit of $50 for nonprofits, and then there would be a $50 per hour charge for profits. Part of that is we currently do not charge for this room. We'd like to charge for some of the wear and tear on it. Sometimes I have to come up here and vacuum it and set the chairs back up. That should be work done by the people who are renting the room. Or if at least they're paying for it now, they're help paying for at least some of the cleaning for it. The deposit for the nonprofits is basically a glitter tax in case they make a mess in here. Some of the stuff that Todd and I are working on, we're looking at creating a new right-of-way permit. With that, we're looking to increase the right-of-way permit of $400 for the permit and then 60 cents per linear feet, as we have to do all the marking for the site. So that would be a rather large increase for that. But Todd and Rick and his guys take a lot of time in marking the site and looking through the plans to making sure that the right-of-way permit needs to meet the needs of it. And then we'd also be updating the driveway permit to $200 for driveway permits. From there too, we're changing direct sellers, right? We're changing them to allow them to have a month permit instead of just a day permit. And you can see the fees there. And then where is the last one?
There's a few more.
Yeah.
So there's
Special board meetings.
Yep, thank you.
board meeting and then
Yeah, currently we do not charge, say for instance, in May and June, there was a special permit meeting for liquor license and for a special events permit. Because they did not meet the deadlines, we needed to schedule a meeting just for them. So now there'd be a $100 fee for a special meeting if you caused a special meeting.
also HPC, their yearly conditional obstruction permits would go from 0 to 25.
A special event permit application that has to be reviewed by every department head would go from 0 to 50. And then the HPC certificate of appropriateness right now is 20, and that would be 100.
And then we're also looking at potentially changing some language in the permit for the special event permits too.
A couple of things that I don't see on here would be like the parking pass fees. Did I miss that? Is that on here somewhere?
On the bottom. Yeah.
Okay, and then the other one would be the fee the police department charges to, I guess, to take care of nuisance properties.
I was gonna bring that up too. The only,
So what happens is they get a letter first, and then it's the way the ordinance is written, it's like $100 fee plus,
It's hourly rate of the police chief.
yeah, percentage or hourly rate of the police chief to basically remediate the issue or, abate the issue. So I think that would be good to add, because if those rates ever go up or if that ever changes, again, we need it here versus the ordinance.
That's not the chapter 130 violation that's listed. there
130
under penalties?
is, I believe, is
No.
historic.
No, it's not 130. It's the chapter that they actually referenced earlier, 160, I think, -5 maybe, that the River Valley Inn folks or the bed and breakfast folks mentioned earlier.
Got it.
So that might be good to add.
So that part of the village code, I'm sure, was changed to say CP schedule.
We'll double check that one.
I
Yeah.
have to look at it, it's been a while, but I will look at that.
It's listed, yeah, that's
Oh,
listed in the
we'll look to see that one because we I know Carrie tried last year for a long time to look through that code, making sure she got them all.
Yeah, and it's kind of hidden because it talks about it, then at the very bottom it says penalties
Okay.
for it, so it's a side thing. It's not like the rest of the.
I'll have to look and see if it said anything about the fee schedule, I would have taken it out, but it should be on here.
Yeah.
It might be worded just the right enough way that
It
it's
is.
not on here. So I
Okay.
have to look at it. I will look at it though before we sign it.
And then the last one is we're increasing the escrow from $500 to $1,000 for a site plan. As I look at it, Todd looks at it, engineers look at it. That's an old rate. People blow through that $500 real fast. So we're increasing that to $1,000 for a site plan review.
Are we able to adopt what's here, knowing that there's additional to be adopted later?
I would think so.
Yeah, you should have to
Just do another
adopt.
resolution
Yep.
if you're gonna add to it.
Oh, okay.
Can I just ask a housekeeping question about this document? Should it say current approved rate rather than 2024 rate?
This in the packet isn't the one that goes with, that is the 2025. I have the actual 2025, which would be, it won't say proposed, it'll say just the 2025.
The one of the 24.
Right, but it will be moving all the numbers from 2024 into the empty spots? Or are we just keeping the
2024.
approved column and these are the changes that will plug into the approved column?
Yes. So the new one has just one column, 2025, with the new numbers. So most of them stay the same, except for the columns that are in the proposed 2025.
Got it. So you're gonna collapse those together?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're signing it, the beginning will be January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2025.
Yep.
So that should be okay.
So then the additional resolution, I'm assuming, would take place and be effective on the date of whatever our January meeting date is. Okay. To take care of the one that you brought up, Ron.
Yeah, and to Van's point, it won't have an end date. It'll just be going to
Every
effect.
year we have to do this.
So every year.
Every year we have to do
Okay,
a resolution to approve our fee schedule.
okay.
But we could add anything along the way.
Yes,
In
we can
theory.
make changes along the way.
So at minimum updated once per year.
Yes.
Got it.
Just gives you guys the opportunity to review what we're spending.
That's great.
Yeah, to the folks that spoke earlier and a lot of other issues, I think we really need to look at the penalty thing because there's issues across town, not just the one eyesore. That we need to find a way to start holding people accountable. And I want to, maybe I'm just speaking into the wind. We really have to hold them accountable exactly as our language is written in our ordinances. We can't interpret it. And I think there's been some interpretation on some things, and that's why some of it's the way it is right now.
We gotta stick to the agenda.
I'm talking about the fee schedule and when we add the next thing. It's the fee schedule. I can't take my words back. I said them. They're out there.
That's how you do that.
Yeah, whoops, sorry.
So in summary, we are allowed to adopt this resolution as written, knowing that there will be another resolution proposed for January, potentially. Okay, so I will entertain a motion to adopt 2418.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mike.
I'll second it.
Van, thank you. We have a motion by Mike and a second by Van to adopt resolution 2418, establishing our fee schedule starting in 2025. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Carries. All right, that takes care of other business. We have some closed session work to do. So I will entertain a motion for the board to potentially go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19851C to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercises authority.
Yeah.
It'll pertain to the review of our administrator. So is there a motion to go to closed session?
So move.
I got Neil first, I think. Thank you. Second by Arvid. All right, so we'll do a roll call starting with Neil.
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Myself is an aye.
Aye.
Ron?
All right.
Arvid? All right, the ayes have it 6-0. We will
See you
go to
later,
closed
Rick.
session.
Okay. Mics are on.
Yeah, mic's on, sorry. We'll get the camera moved back to miscellaneous one. And back to unmuted.
Yep, we're good.
Okay. So was there anybody else in the hallway? Ron?
Just the cleaners.
Just the cleaners? Okay.
Oh,
All right, so back in open, that's it. We don't have anything else here. We're not doing any board action after closed. Is that correct? Okay. Updates and items, anything?
I've got nothing.
Ron? Nope. I got nothing. Van?
Nope.
Mike? No? Neil?
Yep.
Okay. We are adjourned at 8:37.
Very good.
Really? We put batteries in the multiple